You know that bougie auntie and uncle?
The ones that laugh real loud.
Ain't got no kids.
And always seem ready to turn up.
And throw down.
Simultaneously. In the name of Black queer excellence.
That's us. I'm Ollie.
I'm Lenah.
And this is Speak on That.
So, my love is very special. If you want it, you can have it. But don't take me for granted. So much things I did not say. I'm from Portmore, that's in JA. We can do it on their beach day. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Bracky, set it, bracky, set it, bracky, set it, bracky, set it. Box shot, somehow you got headstrong. Forget me not when it's sweet. Yeah, why I say? Ba, 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 ba.
Ooh, Chile. Oh, is that Adele's new single?
I was gonna say the spirit of Adele took over me, and I was like, "This is the song. This is the one."
Oh wow, Adele, 23 coming out soon. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the show. Thank you, Lenah, for opening that up with that beautiful. What song is that? Tell the people.
It is called Fever by Vibes Cartel.
It makes me want to dance. I miss dancing.
Fever.
Yes. I miss dancing. I just want to dip and do.
I miss dancing with people.
Yes. I dance by myself all the time, but I miss dancing with the people. Oh, my Lord. How are you doing? With an audience.
I'm good. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good.
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah,
I'm also doing good,
Good.
Sitting here,
Good.
surviving, thriving, all them things.
Nice. Love it. Love to hear it.
I was going to ask you real quick before we introduce our guest for the week. Did you watch the Brandy Monica versus?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I watched everything but the very beginning and the very end.
Okay. So you got the meat of it.
I got a thick piece of meat.
What did you think? Like, was it like, for me, it was such like it was such a cool appreciation of both of those women. Like, I was like, their catalogs are insane.
Yeah.
Oh, I was listening. I heard songs that I was just like, oh, let me go back and save that one. Oh, let me go back and save that one. Oh, let me go back and save. And I thought I had all of their, like, major songs to save, but I was like, wow, like I haven't heard that song.
And every other song, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I like start singing.
I mean, that is so like quintessential kind of like millennials, 90s. That was our time.
That
like
nostalgia.
Yeah. And let me just say, does Black just sit there looking stunning? Like Monica looks the same.
Exactly the same. The same.
If not younger.
Listen,
she looks gorgeous.
She could go back to Before You Walk Out of My Life video with the shoes. And she would just look the same.
The white shoes.
She was 12. 12 years old in them white shoes. Madness.
Oh, I tell you.
I was 5 years old. Like, they're grown.
They're both
adults.
looked amazing, but it's wild to think that 20 plus years ago, and they both look just as incredible.
They have not aged a day since.
Not
they were
one day.
teenagers.
Nope. And let that be known. Black just sits there, aging like a fine wine.
Yep.
But we're back another week, brand new episode. This week we are tackling the topic of interracial relationships. We could have even called it interracial relationships and situationships, but we're just gonna.
But that's long, and it won't fit on our. It won't fit in the picture.
It won't fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm kind of excited to tap into this. We have a very special guest with us. You may have heard a cackle at the beginning of the recording.
A cackle.
I am so excited to introduce this person. He is one of the kindest people that I've ever been lucky enough to come across in this life. I'm just so thankful that he is a part of this. If there is an episode of Speak on That comes on, he's going to hype us up. He's just every week, he's just here to hype us up. And I'm so grateful that he is our first official guest of Speak on That.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your ears, Mr. Victor La. Hello.
Hey, pew, 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 pew.
Hi. I love. Okay, I've been loving the air horns.
Oh, thank you.
Can I just say that?
So good. Do they kind of remind you of like Adele's kind of?
Her second album. Does it remind you?
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation.
I mean, that's
Yes.
a whole other topic. Like, I don't
But
know what that
Victor,
post
we are
is
so
about,
happy to
but
have you here. Oh my gosh, as I was saying, you're one of the
thank you
kindest,
for having me. I'm so
smartest,
excited.
funniest people that I know, and just to have your insight on this specific topic is going to be so great for us.
Aw.
And to get that third perspective as well as we just kind of tackle through this topic and these questions and this conversation. So, with that being said, Victor, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself.
Really?
So I'm from Calgary, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yeah, really.
There's not many of you.
Born and raised, yeah. Yeah. But I currently live in Vancouver. I'm Chinese Canadian. Both my parents are first generation Chinese Canadians.
Hey.
And I recently just turned 30 this year. Not recently.
This is
April,
it.
But
This is
30.
it.
Like,
This is it.
are.
here we
It's
are.
lit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. One of the things that we were
It is
talking about
lit.
on
It's been
our
good.
30
Yeah.
episode, Lenah, was just like all the things you learn is just kind of like, okay, I can take this. I like this, you know? Yeah, it's kind of nice. But nonetheless, thank you so much for being here with us. Let me just kind of set up the episode a little bit. We're going to talk through interracial relationships. Victor, we wanted to have you on for this topic, as I said, to give a third perspective and to give just knowing that you are
Yes.
currently in one, you could just kind of not walk us
Oh,
through it,
really? So very
Isn't
Yes.
that
you could at least give the firsthand, current insight as well.
Yes.
But few things off the bat. There's so many different facets and channels and whatnot to interracial. Obviously, we're going to hone in on our personalized experiences with them, whether they be, Chinese white, black white, white black, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, we're just going to hone in on what is pertaining to us specifically. We might have a little bit of generalized conversation as things come up, but for the most part, we're just going to, unpack and talk through this topic. How do you guys feel about that?
Excellent.
Feel good? All right.
Great.
So let's get into it. Why not? Let's get right into it. So my first question for y'all is, at that initial stage of meeting somebody or getting to know somebody, how do you approach these conversations regarding to race and privilege specifically?
How or when? Because first date.
Yeah, how or when? That's
Right off the bat.
You know what? Let's do both.
Before we
How-
meet, while we on Tinder, how do you feel? Do you think that white privilege exists?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of your race, I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so on and so on. We carry on from there. Usually after that, the conversation just flows.
Which adds up. Yeah. That adds up. What about you, Victor?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if it is a first date, I feel like that's definitely it's a tricky thing to bring up, right? Like it's not always the easiest conversation to have. But I mean, obviously it's important because going into this, like, if I'm actually gonna commit time and be with this
do you
person,
find
I
that you
know
just kind of,
what your
because for me,
stance is.
I just look for the early signs of it, and it's not that hard to decipher where people lie on the spectrum of social issues, right? Like,
That's true.
like people are on the right side or they're not. And don't get me wrong, there's people that exist in the gray area that can kind of like trick you into being on the right side. That it's like, wait a minute, you said that thing that was not correct, and I must now correct you. But other than that, like, I feel like for me personally, like, I don't really find that it's that hard for me to decipher. Like, just because you're hanging out with me or just because you're out with me, it doesn't exempt you from any sort of problematic behavior. Like, I still gotta look out for it, you know? And that's...
No.
You'll go ahead, Lenah.
Okay. Because I feel like I usually... I mean, sometimes... Because, listen, I'm from this generation, and I don't, like to go places a lot. And most of my friends are, like, gay men. So, so I don't usually... It's like I'm meeting people on the internet. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay?
Yes.
So, like, sometimes it's hard to catch those signs from that, which is why I'm like, let me bring it up at the first date. Because first date, I'm like, we've already been like messaging back and forth for a while. Maybe we've talked on the phone. Maybe we've texted a little, whatever. So I feel like it's, again, by that time, I'm like, you know that I am a lot. So when I bring this up, it shouldn't be a shock to you. And by that time, you should have looked at all my social media or something like that. You should have gotten the heads up. Exactly. Right. Research me, please. Yeah, I need you to get a PhD in me.
Hey.
Before we meet.
Say it again.
PhD in me.
What? Is that a double entendre?
It is an entendre.
Yeah, that sounds a little...
Okay, moving on.
Oh my gosh. But Lenah, how do you go about bringing that up, though?
Okay, a lot of times they will say something that's like borderline, or will like kind of give me the opportunity to like mention it. Yeah, like
right.
I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, so that's not a good example. So usually we'll be talking about things. A lot of times, even sometimes I'll be like, oh, what do you do or whatever. And when I'm talking about things that I do, I'm like, what I really want to do is like end this whole racism thing and like just like end the patriarchy and the white supremacy. Like that's my passion in this world here that we currently have to live in. And yeah, it kind of goes from there. But like I'll bring it up. Like I know it's heavy, but usually I'll just say it's so casual and they will be caught off guard. But I'm like, yeah, good, be caught off guard, because then you don't have time to like, you know, try to maneuver your answer and be like, oh, how does the black girl want me to answer? Yeah, which is why I like to just bring it up on them.
I was even having a conversation last week about how important it is to... There's a thing about feeling uncomfortable. So often people don't want to be or feel uncomfortable because it's awkward. It's nobody likes it, this, that. But we have to start getting used to that, because we can't move the needle unless we get uncomfortable and face, as you just said, Lenah, racism, misogyny, like all of these things. It's going to require people looking inwards and people looking, you know, outwards at the community or the people that they keep around per se, whatever it may be. But you got to get uncomfortable with it. And having those conversations is the epitome of uncomfortable, you know?
And it's like, it's not comfortable for me to bring it up either.
No!
I just do it because I have to, and I want to get it out of the way.
Right?
So I know.
So you don't waste your time.
Exactly.
Yeah, 1,000%. Have y'all ever had to dip out of a situation because you learned that the other person was problematic?
I don't want to talk about it. I know I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Fresh.
Oh, isn't it ever? Victor, why don't you answer first?
Yeah,
Have you ever had to dip out of a situation because you learned the other person was problematic?
I mean, I feel like I've never been in anything like serious with someone where I was like, oh, like you're actually kind of problematic. But I've definitely gone on dates with people and have been in these situationships. where at first things are fine, and then like
Yes.
later on you start noticing little things, or like patterns of behavior, or like certain people that they've dated in the past, and they're all kind of one race, and then it brings up the question
Come
of
on.
like
Yeah.
Come on.
fetishization of race,
Come on.
right? When you're like, right, like is that okay? Am I just
Or something you want to
having
try
vision
out right
point?
now.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely been right. So I've been in a situation where that was the case. This person,
One race.
their dating history is
Wow.
like
Wow.
it's all Asian boys. Like
I'm
it's
not
very much
surprised,
just all
actually.
Asian boys.
No offense.
Yay!
I mean, like, I get it. I get the appeal. But, like...
Come on.
But at the same time... But what the issue was I actually, jokingly, lightheartedly, I brought it up. And I was like, oh, are you... So there's this term, rice queen.
Within the gay community,
which,
correct? Yep.
I don't know. Some
Oh,
people
okay.
maybe find that within the gay community. So so what that is, it's basically someone who has a preference, quote unquote, for Asians, or will only date Asians when they themselves aren't Asian. So with this particular person, I jokingly kind of brought it up. I was like, "Oh, you're kind of a rice queen," but he got so offended when I said that, and he was so defensive about it.
What's
where
there
it
to be
struck me that I
defensive
was like,
about? It's
oh.
right there.
But
Yeah.
it's
The patterns speak
kinda
for themselves.
true.
That's so
I think he felt a
fascinating.
little bit attacked in a sense, and like he kept bringing up, that it wasn't that he was really offended by that he's not.
So
that
for
he
Victor, for
wasn't.
you, how did that make you
So,
feel
I don't
even in
know.
that moment where you felt, because when somebody gets defensive, you find the natural instinct is to comfort them / make them feel better. So as you are approaching a conversation around, hey, this is going to impact me and my feelings towards you, and now I'm comforting you, like how did that make you feel in that moment?
I was definitely caught off guard, I guess. I wasn't expecting that reaction. So in that moment I was like, oh, did I say something that crossed the line?
I don't think you did.
Which I didn't feel like I did. And again, like it kind of came off as like it was. I was just kind of jokingly like, oh, like I kind of noticed a little thing, a pattern with your dating history. But
Of course.
it made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, wait a second, like this is actually like you're actually offended by this. But why was kind of my. I was
because it's a legitimate question.
I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was like,
For
I need to get out of here. Like this.
What
this
did he
isn't
give
it.
you a reason?
Like
why, or like when he was doing his little like defensive thing, was he like?
Okay. Here's the tea. So when I say situationship, so this guy is in an open marriage.
Okay.
So his husband is Taiwanese. So that was his.
Oh, we got layers.
My husband is Taiwanese.
We got layers.
Oh my god.
Oh, like
I'm not racist because
response.
I
have a black blank.
I have
exactly. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's what his full defense was that he's like, oh, I mean, my husband is Asian, like yeah. Actually, that's all he said, really.
And there was ever,
that was
do you
his
think
defense.
there was
That's
ever
all he
kind of
said.
like a reflective, I know you can't answer this, I guess, for said person, but do you think, just off knowing what you know, there was ever a reflective time or opportunity to be like, oh, let me kind of like tap into what my pattern has been in my adult life?
For him? I don't know. to be honest, like
Sure.
I feel like I don't know him enough.
Yeah.
I feel like it was still very like early stages. We were trying to figure out this thing. And even for me, at that time in my life, I was also questioning whether or not I really wanted to be a
Got
part
you.
of this, knowing that he had a partner. So it was
Got
definitely new territory for me anyways. But I don't know. He's a stubborn guy. That was my impression.
You just found out that it wasn't
all
for
in
you,
all,
hey?
so
You were just like, you know what? Yeah, like,
I don't know. I don't know if he.
hey.
I found out what I needed to find out, and
Yeah,
But
there
see,
you
even
go.
that, it's like
I
it's
was like,
it's like
yeah,
I was gonna say it's subtle, but it's not really subtle. But like, you know, if you just bring up race at all to people, and they start either getting defensive or they start like, you know, fumbling their words, but like that already is a sign. Like, again, it's uncomfortable to talk about for most people. I get that, but it shouldn't be to the point where you're like now getting defensive, or you're now getting exactly,
like point A, B, C,
like,
yeah,
okay,
like
first of all,
you're trying to make a case for yourself.
Yeah, like chill out. But
I'm not attacking
and I think
you. Like,
to your point, Lenah,
yeah.
like it's not. There's not just like talking about it is going to be something we're going to have to address at some point.
Yeah.
So why get defensive? Because this is going to get brought up eventually.
People entering interracial relationships, situationships, whatever, should know that. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
On
Absolutely.
both sides, they should know that one of you is gonna have to bring it up. Eventually.
1,000%. Whether it's the first date or the 50th date, it's gonna get brought up.
I get so sad about like when I hear stories about
it's gonna come up. Yeah.
People that are in interracial like marriages, and they've been married for years, and then they're like, I just found out that my husband is, and I'm like, well, how did you just find this out? Like, are you okay? Did you talk?
Wow.
Did y'all get to know each other before you got married, or did you get married yesterday?
Totally.
Like, I hear that. I've heard that a lot lately with the current climate.
Because 2020 is an interesting time.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all kind of facing with this, I'm going to call it like a racial reckoning. We're all coming to like, we're all facing this stuff. It's in your face. You cannot deny it anymore. It's right here, and we're going to talk about it. But Lenah, why don't you answer the question? Have you ever had to dip out of a situation because you learned the other person was problematic?
I had said I didn't want to talk about it, but
we're going to talk about it.
So there are 3 specific times that I had to. I'm going to say I had to consider dipping out. 4. Ooh, wow. 4 times. One was with a black guy, which, interestingly enough.
Now that's possible though.
Yeah,
that's a strong possibility. But go on.
Yeah.
Right.
I just remembered that, and it was
triggering.
Yeah, it was the worst date I've ever been on. But yeah, literally the worst. Anyways, I'm not gonna talk about that one either because it's too much explanation.
Yeah, good.
First one, I know that I have mentioned before on the show about the white guy that I dated that I thought was like spicy white because he was born in Trinidad, but he left when he was like 3, and like he had like brown people in his family, but he himself was like a little bit of flavor. He himself was white. So that was a situation that I was in for several years. Thought we were going to get married, and then his dad had said the thing about how white people are going extinct. And how encouraging his sister and his stepsister to continue to have more babies because their current children had blonde hair and blue eyes, and they're like, keep pumping out those blonde hair, blue eyed children. And so in that situation, like at that moment, I wasn't like, I gotta get out of here. I mean, like I was, but I wasn't like, I gotta get out of this relationship. I was just like, I would like to leave this room right now.
For sure.
I didn't, but but it was kind of a thing that like haunted me after like the next maybe year of the relationship until I finally got to a point where I was like, I don't like, it's just, I'd have to put in so much work to make sure that my children don't feel like shit. And it's like, I'm like, it's too much. Like, it's just too much. I don't want that.
Yeah.
And also there are multiple other reasons why I left that relationship, but that was one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then another one is
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Okay, fine. Another one is this person was very non-problematic, and it was wonderful. Another white guy. Very non-problematic, which is kind of what attracted me to him in the first place. Because I was like, what? You two are questioning why white people are the way that they are? Like, yeah. So I did all of the regular conversation that I have with white people about race to like see if they say anything problematic. He did not. He passed on my tests. And then one day it was like a thing where I don't like when people, I don't like when people call me names during getting it on.
Yep.
I don't like when people use, like, there's some things I'm okay with and some things I'm not.
Sure.
One of the things that I'm literally like never okay with is putting the descriptor black in front of anything that you call me. So like, don't call me a black bitch. Don't call me a black slut. Don't call me a black hoe. Don't call me.
Yeah, I'm getting like.
Don't even call me like black baby girl. I don't like that.
No.
And that was the thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I don't like that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't like that. So I kind of had to like, put on my pants and go home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important to note too, because that is like layers and layers and centuries and centuries of oppression right there that somebody's kind of uncovering in you.
Oh, also
when somebody talks that way, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you are stirring up things that I have been battling myself, and that's not really fair to you. But also, go on.
Even worse, because you young and dumb or whatever. There was a time before that I should have dipped out. I should have known. I should have known better. I should have known better than to think that he wasn't problematic. But there was a time before where we were talking about like, freaky shit we've done, freaky shit we want to do. And he began to explain something that he didn't even get to explaining it, because he's like, yeah, so there's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. It's like a role play thing. It does have to do with your race. And I was like, no, thank you.
Yep. Red flag. Nope. Goodbye. Like, take care.
And I let it slide, because when I was like, no, he was like, okay, cool. And it was like, that was the end of it. Never heard of it again. Yep. And then I was like, so you tried it then? You tried it. So what you did is you tried it when I had already been like, nah, I don't like that. And you tried it.
Yep.
But okay.
Okay. Yep. No. People be trying things, and
people really do be trying things.
Yeah. All right. Let me just. Let's just. Yeah. And the thing is, though, I'll add to that is like, even for you to put a pin in it, just be like, you know what? No, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. You can just imagine where that conversation could have gone. Like the roads that conversation could have taken.
Yeah.
I'm again, when you're young, you're just kind of like, I don't know, this. Again, we're all learning things for the first time. We're all doing this thing called life for the very first time. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody has the expert, guidebook, whatever. But it's interesting, though, that when you've been in a situation, and or something, so enough times you can kind of look out for those clues to be like, no, this is not for me. Or when you come into your own skin that much more, right? Like as a person, as an adult, you're just like, no, this isn't for me, and I don't like where this is going, so I'm gonna shut it down right here, right now.
No need to do that adventure thing. Like, let's see what happens. No,
I don't need to know, quote unquote, where this is going. I'm good. I'm okay, but thank you for asking.
Have you ever, Ali?
So
You have. I know that you have. I'm asking because I want you to talk about a time. But I'm just saying that for me personally, I know of one time for you. At least one.
y'all, y'all do the most. Okay. Okay.
None at all. None at
No
all.
pressure.
Oh.
This is your podcast.
Okay, no, Okay, so I certainly have, yes, been in the position where I've had to be like, you know what? Nope, no, thank you. Can't, won't do this. But it's funny because the only ones that are, I'm not even just saying this to digress, the only ones that are coming to my mind aren't even with romantic relationships, but with certain friendships where I've just had to be like, no, like this is where this, you've crossed a line, you know, of problematicness or whatever it may be, where it's hard to come back from that because you may have said or did something that certainly you just can't come back from, I guess, you know, like that's the only thing that I'm going to say. But
so you had me putting my business all out here, and that's all you're gonna say?
Yeah.
The disrespect.
Wow. I like defined rice
You're like,
queen
sometimes,
and
yeah,
you.
you gotta dip, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. All right.
Wow. I mean, I guess.
To each their own.
Don't make me turn around and tell your own story.
Okay, tell the story.
Oh, you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead. You know what's funny is the reason I'm digressing is I truly don't. Like that's I'm like, which story did I tell you and which one are you gonna tell?
Okay, so the story that I am remembering in my head is, I don't know if it was
I'm so nervous.
Okay.
Oh my god! but I'm ready though. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
Okay, so I remember you meeting a person, and both of us were like, "Listen." Do you know? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to take over? Or?
Listen.
Because the opening, you got it.
I got it. Oh,
okay.
I got it. Yeah,
okay,
that's the one. That's the one. And again, sometimes the person on the other line can be Black.
Yeah.
You know? So, yes, I fell into not even a situationship, but somebody that I was, you know, eager to know. Let's just call it that. So, and Lenah and I were together at this time, and we're like looking, and I'm like, ooh, like, you know, he cute, and she's like, yeah, he is cute, and we're like, let's go say hi. So we go say hi, and like, you know, we're vibing, we're having a nice time. Whatever.
I did not say hi. I said, oh my gosh, your shoes, because I was playing wingman.
And you played it well. You played it well, honey. Yes.
Thanks.
But long story short, like, lo and behold, after this year that we've just had, where I truly feel like certain colors have been shown. Like now there's nowhere to hide. You cannot hide behind a mask. You cannot hide behind a computer or a phone or whatever it may be. Like people are showing their true colors. So this individual went on the interwebs and said some things about, again, being a Black person, said some things about, you know, how it's important, you know, in the uplifting of Black people, not to degrade white people. And for me, I was like,
shit.
That's right. I was like, that's not the conversation we're having, though. Like, and for you to make it the conversation we're having, immediately I was just turned off. I was like, okay, no, we're not gonna do that, because if you think the conversation we're having surrounding Black Lives Matter, specifically per se, means that we are degrading, as if we have that power, by the way, degrading anybody else, then you're on something that I don't even know about. And for me, that was just like, I was just immediately red flag right there. You know what I mean? Because the things that we, as you said earlier, Lenah, like we want to dismantle, the structures and the archetypes of white supremacy in order for everybody to win. We can't sit here and make it like if you say this, then then they get this. That's not the point. The point is for like everybody to have a level playing field. But if you think that by Black people feeling liberated that we're doing too much, then I cannot. I can't really be a part of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is thanks for reminding me of that, because I think I blocked that out of my memory.
I feel like you do that. I think you're that person that does that.
I legitimately blocked it out of my memory. Yes. There is another one that I'm thinking of, but we're not gonna go down that route. So what's more important to you guys? So for y'all, like, what's more important to you in your partner, having a sounding board or having an activist?
Explain what you mean by both of those.
So, a sounding board. So listen.
Yes. Yeah.
Y'all are both, minorities. You are in the workforce. You come home after a hard day at work because you both experience some level of microaggressions, and you come home to your partners, and do you need to hear... do you just need to be heard, or do you need said person to take some sort of action? And I mean this consistently, not just a one-time offense. I mean this consistently. Like, I'll answer this, and you guys can kind of tell me what y'all think. Like, because even in asking the question, I strongly believe in both. Like, if I'm going to walk through my day dealing with, as I said, microaggressions, what I need is for someone to hear me out on them, but then help me in changing the dial. Like, I'm not expecting to sit back with my feet up in the air and be like, okay, you go fight all these racial injustices, you go do that. But like, what I do need, though, is someone to actively be present in the ongoing fight, and to, if I was to be in an interracial relationship, to use their privilege for good. And and with that being said, it's just as important to have somebody who was passionate about your fight, who's enthusiastically listening to you and supporting you, and ensuring that you're not always in education mode, like, this is why this is offensive, and this is why that was bad, and this is why, you know what I mean? Like, I don't always want to be, it's exhausting.
Very.
It's exhausting.
That's exhausting.
So with that being said, how would y'all kind of react to that? Agree, disagree?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I agree. I think in an ideal situation, you would have a bit of both. But I think for me, I think definitely the sounding board. Like, I love to. I'm an emotional person.
I love that.
If you're dating me, like, you're in for an earful. But I think that goes a long way, though. Like, even just like being there and like
it's so important.
Creating a space for me.
It's so important
to vent and to
because to that, Victor. Sorry not to cut you off, but it's like, that's a part of activism, though, right? Like, we've all heard how there's different sectors to activism. So you can be, on the front lines, but there's different types. A healer, you could also be a organizer, et cetera, et cetera. And for somebody to be when somebody hears you and hears what you're going through, that is a form of healing to me. So to have somebody be a soundboard, I think is important as well.
Totally.
I think that is important, and I too like to vent, but but I also like, sometimes I feel like when I'm venting to somebody that doesn't fully understand my experience, that it almost feels like patronizing when they try to comfort me.
Oh.
And again, I feel like a lot of that has to do with just me and my hostility, but but I feel like I get that sometimes, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I would prefer someone to be like, I like when people are mad with me. Like if I'm mad, if I come
same.
and I'm telling you about some bull I had to
Yeah.
do at work or whatever, or some bull about like, speaking of, some guy flipped me off the other day because he almost hit me. But anyways, and I knew the way that he looked like the typical white trash type. I was like, this one's in the car like that nigger bitch. Like I knew. I was like, this one is cussing. This one is racially cussing in his car right now. I can see it in his eyes. I can see it in his glasses. But anyways, besides the point. But like when people understand the kind of the emotions that I am talking about, I feel like that is, I don't want to say that it is more healing. I feel like it heals me faster because it also puts me in a position where I feel like I'm being like validated in the sense that it's like, yeah, that's real. Exactly. Yeah.
And also
And seen,
to that point, when you're in an interracial situation or relationship, whatever it may be, that activism or that being that soundboard is a bit of a love language within itself.
Yeah.
You know, like it's because then you don't feel so, as you said, Lenah, like
it really
you don't feel patronized, you don't feel isolated, you don't feel like a teacher. You know, so you feel like that. To me, it's like
you don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah. And I think so many times we have to explain ourselves. And it's kind of nice not to have to do that and just to kind of have somebody support you. Because support to me is the foundation of any romantic, platonic, whatever it may be, of any relationship is just support. You just want support, you know? And that's what it all kind of boils down to. So I was thinking about... I sent you guys this video earlier, and for those of y'all listening, I will attach it. I'll give you the breakdown, but I'll attach it to the show notes. But you know, I've got so much love for my girl Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. Love her, love her, love her, love her. So she, in 2018, was in an interracial relationship. She's obviously a Black woman, and she was with a white guy. He looked like he had some flavor, but he was I thought he was mixed.
When
at
I
the very
first saw
least.
him, I was like, he's probably mixed.
Yeah, but no, he was white.
He's not.
And they were they were engaged, and you know, I follow her on all the social medias, and I've been following her for a long time, so I know I don't know her, but like to kind of see this person that you kind of grew up with through like the media, I guess, to kind of get to this point where, you know, she was so happy, she was engaged, she was just elated beyond belief and so in love, and they just kind of both followed by, you know, the word of God, and they were just so happy, and they ended up signing up to do a reality show. So they had a 10-arc series on Oprah's network, and one of the episodes in that reality show, there was like a 2-minute, so imagine 10 episodes, half an hour each, a 2-minute excerpt of that. They address being in an interracial relationship. And long story short, Michelle said something to Chad, is his name, Chad Johnson. She says something like, well, you wouldn't know because I'm Black. And he got defensive and was like, well, it doesn't always have to come down to race. Like, I don't see color. I don't see color. Right? Like, I don't care if you're white, Black, purple, this, that. And that was...
When they say purple and green, I'm like, no, we're done.
You know?
Yeah, literally. Right? Like, no.
You know, so they dial in their therapist, and the therapist is asking, how were they communicating with one another? And they bring up the fight that they'd had, and Michelle says something along the lines, again, I'll loosely paraphrase, but you can watch the video at the end of this show. She says something along the lines of, he got defensive when I mentioned that you wouldn't get it because I'm Black. And then Chad said, because Michelle suffers with depression, suffers of depression and whatnot. So Chad said, did you take your meds today? Oh. So then that wasn't, right? So that was an added layer to kind of like, so all of this is to say, I'm just
Yeah.
trying, as I was watching, I rewatched that video today in preparing for this episode. And I was like, this is the conversation that I'm trying to incite and initiate here. It's just like, this is a very real thing, because you can be very much in love and find that person, because there was nothing to tell me otherwise. I mean, you don't sign up to do a reality show with somebody you're not going to spend the rest of your life with. And they couldn't make it work solely on, obviously, the media backlash that they'd received from that 2-minute excerpt, right? That there was just a lot of pushback on the Chad Johnson front. Like, a lot of fans were like, Michelle, what are you doing? This, that. But I don't know, like,
Yeah.
what do you guys kind of think about that? Like, I know there's not really a question there, but tell me your thoughts on that specific situation where somebody says you wouldn't get it because you're not this, or you wouldn't get it because you're not that.
I'm offended. Very, because the thing that's really
how
messed
dare
up
he?
is that I feel like if she were to be like, oh, you wouldn't get it because I'm a woman and you're a man, he probably wouldn't get as defensive. If she were like, oh, well, you wouldn't get it because you were born in this year and like whatever, like that's something that, again, is just fact.
Right.
It's just fact that people's perspectives and experiences are different based on who they are, when they are, where they are, and what they look like. So, like, what? Like, what do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and sir, how dare you? How dare you bring up her? Ooh. I wanted to fight.
And for him to bring up the meds are
yeah. Yeah.
Blood is
that's
boiling,
like literally that is gaslighting 101.
Anyone.
Like,
Thank you.
He came in with the jerry can and the lighter, just ready to gaslight.
And the ammunition. He just came in ready to be like, yeah,
everything. He was ready.
Yeah. And it's sad too, right? And I wonder if some people kind of suffer from that, right? Like you can't fully express a part of yourself because you don't want the other person to feel like you're degrading them or whatever it may be, quote unquote, right? Like I just think about those certain nuances that exist. I don't know, but yeah. Ah, God, I love Michelle. Y'all know that, but I just want her to win. So
I want her to be happy.
Yeah,
I just want her to be happy.
Me
but
too.
after that, I was like, you must leave this man. Today, you have to.
No.
Yeah, he's not. I'm so sorry, but he's not.
Chad is not the one.
And they ended up splitting up, but yeah.
Yeah, which is, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what, girl? You can do bad by yourself. You don't need
Girl,
help.
I could
You
tell
know?
you've been crying and you needed somebody to talk to. Girl, I could
Sing
tell
it.
it's been lying. Okay, let me stop. Stop. What were you gonna say, Lenah?
I have a question.
Hit it.
So I'm wondering about the difference, and this is gonna be weird maybe for you, Victor, because you're already in a relationship. But like, is there a difference when you're in an interracial relationship with somebody who is white and somebody who is non-white?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like,
that's a good question. Yeah, Victor, do you want to go first?
That's a good question. So my first boyfriend is Filipino, so different races, but I think there's almost like this unspoken understanding when you're not white. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things about our upbringing. Yeah, it was very different, but at the same time, there are things about how our family dynamics work, like having strict parents, like just certain things that I wouldn't get away with, that I didn't have to explain, and that I didn't realize how much of a weight that is. Like to be in a relationship with someone who isn't white and like. To not have to explain myself and to know
when
that
my mom says I have to come home,
had this mutual understanding off the bat.
It's not a discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
love my
Listen,
mother, but I fear her so much as well. Like, she is the one that I
she
cannot
will
cross
drag it
her.
on for days. She's gonna be so mad.
Yes, and I would guilt trip for this forever. Yeah.
She'll talk about all she's done for me.
Yeah.
So, the
Listen.
sacrifices.
9 months.
The receipts come in, like. I held your
Oh,
Yeah.
you were in for
Every
9
stretch
months.
mark
I
is
had
a-
to
is
have
a
a
receipt.
section
Yes.
like that gets
Amen.
thrown in my face all
Oh,
the time.
man.
Yes. Oh.
Mhm.
But I definitely noticed a difference
Ali.
to answer that question. Yeah. So it does feel different. I think it definitely helps that my current
That does help
partner,
a lot.
He's very open.
Yeah.
And he's very aware that we had that he's aware and he's not just like blatantly like, you know, like pretending like it doesn't exist, that we had very different experiences growing up.
Yeah. He is so nice.
Yeah.
He is so nice. Listen, every time.
Okay.
I know. I've only
I'm
met him via
very
FaceTime, but every
excited for
time
you
I'm
two to
like,
meet
oh, I
him.
just love him. And I'm like, get out of the way, Victor. Let me talk to.
Oh, and he the feeling is mutual. Like he
But
loves
I
you
don't know
too.
him, but I'm sure he's very sweet.
But to answer that question, I definitely agree. Like I've been in, you know, like situations or situationships with both white people and non-white people, and the difference with a non-white person is, and this is going to be unique to me specifically, is I don't feel, actually it's going to kind of build off of what Victor was saying, is I don't feel that incessant need to explain certain things. Like I just, it's like there's this undertone that just kind of exists, and it's like, okay, like, you know, when I know, and it's all just good or whatever. But I'll provide context for like when things end. So for me, when things have ended for when I'm with a white person and when I'm with a non-white person, when I'm with the white person, personally, me, as I said, and I think I've said this on a previous episode, I get a little bit like, the way you are talking to me is bringing up history and bringing up centuries of, you know, like...
You're like, my ancestors are pissed right now. Okay.
Exactly. So
They're not
I
happy.
don't receive it as, because there's layers to that, right? Like, I'm just like, I feel to a certain level gutted because I'm like, yo, like this is not what I signed up for, because I feel like I'm letting, as you just said, Lenah, my ancestors down, because now, you know, we have this to a certain extent element of freedom. We're not all the way free, but we have a certain element of freedom, and then here I am with this person that is talking down on me, and even though it just might be like a you know, a regular, quote unquote, regular conversation, I still feel like I can't, it feels a little bit too close to slavery. It feels a little bit too close, you know?
Like, hey, can you pass the remote? You're like, don't
Don't
tell me what to do.
Listen.
How dare you? What do you think this is?
Don't
tell you I'm NASA now? Hell no.
This is why I
Get the fuck
struggle
out of
with
my
being
house.
told what to do, because I'm like, it feels a little too close.
Yeah.
You know? But I remember I was with a Black person, and we were just, as we were kind of ending things, it wasn't overly dramatic, but I just had an easier time letting go. You know, like I don't know what it necessarily was. Like I don't feel like there wasn't as much hurt feelings, but I was just able to just kind of let it go with that, because I didn't have to decipher the nuances within the breakup. Like, did they think of me as less than? Did they think of me as, you know what I mean? Because
that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I just was like, hey, we're done.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Go on.
I'm the exact opposite. Because every time with a Black person, I'm like, this is my spouse. Like, I'm like, this is my spouse. This is who, like, we're gonna get married.
Yeah.
Because that's just, and again, it's like just me. And I've mentioned it before, but like the way when I picture my future, like I've dated several races, several, like Olympics, okay. But like when I picture my future and I picture like my family and my kids and everything, it's like everybody black.
Mm.
And that's not to say I would not ever marry a non-black person
Of
of
course,
color.
because God plays games.
God do playing games, but at the same time, it's like I still do have free will. So that is to say that I don't. It's very, very unlikely that I would marry a white person. Mostly just because at this point in my life, I feel like I don't have the time to. I've put a lot of energy into explaining myself to white people. I put a lot of energy into like, all of just trying to get them to understand things on like a surface level and on a deeper level and like how things affect me. And I've put so much time into doing that already that if that's not something that comes easily, I'm kind of just closed off to the relationship, whether that's honestly, that's even with friendships. Like if I have to explain too much of myself, I'm like, I don't like that. And it's too much work. And I'm like, hey, then we're not there. It's almost like an emotional block for me.
That's right.
Where it's like, I just won't even allow myself to go further than a certain point. But then when I'm with another black person, it's like, I'm like, because I fall in love easy because no, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop it right there. Listen, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're a softie.
What? I'm not.
Okay,
Listen, I'm just a kind-hearted person, okay? So if someone has been my presence for long enough, I will most likely fall in some kind of love. I don't like it. I don't think it's healthy. I try to avoid it, but sometimes it just be happening. Anyways, I am. I'm hella
You're loyal.
I
You're
am.
loyal.
So, okay, so I will literally I will be like, I love this person. I love them. I love them. I love them, and we're gonna be together forever. So then when we break up, I'm like, it's like it's literally like a knife in my chest. And I'm like, how, like, why? Because I'm like, I know, and that's the thing that I'm like, I know it wasn't like a racial thing. I know it wasn't something like that. So like, what? Because I'm like,
that's so interesting.
I'm bomb as hell. I'm a fucking catch and a half. Okay, like you need two hands to catch this, and and it's like, so I'm like, why? Like, why? That. Everything was lined up, and like I just don't understand why. Like if we get along, and like, if we get along, what the hell? Like I'm really not asking for a lot out here. Okay?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I think though. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but you have also been on the other side of it. Where you have but you've been like, this is not for me. And you've been able to dip out a little bit easier than the other person has. Am I lying? Am I lying?
I'm not sure what.
Okay, so like I just think in regards to that. So it's like you're saying like, you are, which 1,000% you are a catch, of course, like duh.
Right.
But like when we flip the script and when we flip the roles, I've been there when you've been the person that's been trying to get out of a situationship, not because of race, not because of this, not because of that, but you just were not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like,
but that doesn't mean that I'm okay with it when it happens to me though, because because double standards. Okay, don't hurt my feelings. What the hell? How dare you?
Oh my god. Oh my god, we could just talk in circles.
Wait, I had something to say about I wrote it down. When I don't remember what question I asked, but you guys answered it and it was good answers. But I wanted to say that I feel like that whole thing of having to like explain yourself and explain your culture and explain your feelings, explain like how things affect you, all of that. I feel like it's different for when you're dating a white person and when you're dating like a person of color. It's different because I feel like white people see themselves and like society sees white people as the default. So when you introduce them to something that's like out of their personal norm and they haven't seen before, they haven't heard before, they're like, what? What do you mean you have to like, you know, bring something over when you visit your parents? What do you mean you have like, you know, like little things like that where they'll not, like they don't get it, and it's like so just far way out of what they see as normal. But then when you're with another person of color that is like a different color than you, because we don't really have the liberty to see ourselves as the default, we know that there's so much else out there.
The default,
like there's so many different types of dynamics of relationships in families and like cultures and traditions and stuff like that. So it's like when somebody is like, oh yeah, okay, when you meet my mom you have to say this, you have to do this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, and I just kind of, I'm like, yeah, that's what y'all do, and that's it, and that's the end of it. It's not a thing where I have to be explaining why and how, and like, no, it's not oppressive, it's like, you know, like it's not, those conversations don't have to be had. And I remember with one of my exes, we were talking about Christmas, and like, I was like, yeah, like when we have our own place and whatever, like Christmas for my family is like 4 days minimum. And so like everybody comes over and we're gonna like, you know, do the thing, cooking, dancing, eating, presents, all of it. And he was like, okay, but what if I work the next day? And I'm like, why would you work? It's Christmas. What? I'm like, I don't, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I don't want your like whole family staying over for days. And I'm like, what? Wow. What do you mean? He's like, yeah, I don't want your whole family staying over. Like, and I'm like, what if let's say hypothetically, my parents, like, you know, they've been drinking or whatever, it's late. And he's like, yeah, we'll call them a cab.
Whoa.
And I know. And I was like, what if your mom was over and she was drinking? He's like, yeah, but she's one person. And I was like, bruh. Yeah. So things like that where he's like, just kind of, I don't want it to, because his family did Christmas. Their Christmas was a brunch. And it was literally like 2 hours and everybody was home by 4 p.m.
Right.
Which is why I was able to go to Christmas with his family and my family, and it made me excited because I'm like, we don't have to do this thing where like which family are spending Christmas with. I was like, nice, we go to their house or whoever's place in the morning, and then after that we meet up with my family and spend the next 4 days with them, like it's fine. And he was like, oh no, absolutely not. And that was like, again, another reason why I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work, because I'm like, this is a tradition not only in my family, but like for me, like I want to carry that on. I want to pass that on to my children. I want that to be a thing. That's like, it means a lot to me. So for him to just kind of be like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, we're not doing you is what we're not doing. Yeah.
That's essentially
interesting. Oh shoot, hey?
Yeah.
People be wild. People be wild.
Truly.
No. Before we wrap up here, I just wanted to quickly ask. We were kind of talking about a bunch of different things, but I have two questions. I'm gonna only ask one because we're kind of running out of time. But quick, short answer: if someone says something problematic, not even directly to you, but maybe to somebody else in the room, and your partner is in the room, is it important to you that they speak up?
Yeah, that is a tough one.
That's tough. Because I think about me in that situation. Would I speak up? I think it depends on the context, right? Like, it depends are you with family? Are you with like new acquaintances? Like, I think.
Yeah, that's.
For me, it's like, I think
it really depends.
If we're in a situation where we are with people that we know, and whoever said something offensive is close, if they're close to me, I will
Yeah.
I will say something, and I will only expect my partner to jump in if I need that backup.
Mhm.
If they're close to them, then I would be like, or if the person that it was even said to
Yeah.
is closer to them, then I'd expect them to say something.
Mm.
But then also, it's like I also would like to give whoever it was said to a like chance to
Yeah.
defend themselves and pretty much just be there for backup in case we need to like throw down or whatever. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta be ready.
It gets an escalate.
Stay ready.
Throwing elbows. Yeah.
Stay ready.
Yeah. But if it's like randoms, I don't know. I don't know that I would.
That's
I don't know if I-
fair.
yeah.
Again,
right?
I feel like it'd
Like-
have to escalate first, and then I'd be like, "Are you gonna do anything?"
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of wait for it to get
I
to
agree,
a point
yeah.
of no return until you're like, oh, I got to jump in now.
If it's people I don't know,
Fair.
because that's not my
Because
business.
it's almost like you can.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me.
Because yes, that's
That
part
was
of
a
it,
very
too.
generalized way of asking that, but let me ask you all this. Like, if the person you're with, then, if somebody says something problematic about your race, does it change?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be like, we will fight on
Like,
the
if
way
you
home.
are
Listen,
silent-
I'm gonna cut you out in the car.
And so,
Listen,
that
you
car
are
ride
walking
home.
home.
You're walking home. Like,
Just press the button once so
I'm
only the
taking the
driver's
keys.
side unlocks.
like beep beep.
Have a long
Like,
walk and think about what the fuck you did
Yeah.
and did not do.
I'm
Yeah.
certainly like, I'm like, it's, to me, I agree. Like, it feels like just a complete betrayal if they don't say anything.
Mhm.
And that's the sort of thing that just shuts me off. I'm like, I
Same.
just shut down, and I'm like I won't even look at you in the eye. I won't even
you lose a little bit of like.
yeah,
I don't
because now
Yeah.
did you
It's
want
almost
me
like
to
you're like,
educate these
"Ooh, I see
people
you in a
on
different
this thing that
light
we
now."
have talked about a million times? Yeah,
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
like,
Well,
come
I'm
on
getting
now.
called like a
Mm.
derogatory term.
So I
Yeah.
certainly think, but I know that everybody has blind spots right now, and everybody's learning and this and that. But I still think it's so important to
Yeah.
hone in, listen, because us as people of color, we have to. We have no other option than to pay it in group settings, whether wherever we are, social settings, this, that, we have to approach it with a race first pretense. So what I would love for, somebody that's going to be by my side is to kind of engage in that same energy with me, of understanding that, like, okay, if we're going to go to this dinner, let's say, and somebody says something that's just, again, a tiny bit left, I want you to be able to catch it. So even if I have to vent later, you'll be like, oh yeah, that was so messed up. You know what I mean? Or you could at least call it out, because if I don't feel comfortable calling it out, maybe you will, because you have the privilege.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't have the privilege to call it out.
Yes.
You do. So
Yes.
use it for the greater good. For the greater
Yeah.
good.
Please
Yes.
and thank you.
Yeah. And then my last question, might as well ask my last two questions, but my last question is kind of like specific to the gay community. So like, with the inherent racism that exists within the gay community, like, Victor, how do you navigate, how you approach, how did you, let me just say, because you done found the one. So how did you navigate?
Lord, I see how you have blessed others.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I need you to do what you have
The
done for
same
Victor,
for
what
me.
he did.
Please, I'm ready, Lord. I'm not ready. I'm joking. I'm joking, God. I'm not ready.
But
Still got some hoe in me.
Always.
how did you navigate how you approached relationships, even as we talked about, like, the Rice Queen stuff earlier and whatnot. Did that kind of, I don't know, put up a bit of a guard, or did you get used to it?
It definitely, it's hard because like I think for me the most important thing going into a relationship with someone who
Unnecessary. I'm so sorry.
is
That was
Ooh,
last week's Speak on That.
Fast and
It
Furious.
was. It was, and it's still an issue.
But go on, Victor.
Anyways, I'm so sorry. Continue.
A little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me though the most important thing is having that awareness. So I think anytime I approach a relationship or a potential relationship, I go in hoping that the other person, especially if they're not Asian or if they're white or whatever, knowing that there's going to be some complications. There's
nuances, like, yeah.
How do I say this? Like,
yeah.
There's going to be nuances. Things are going to come up, and maybe they don't come up right away, but they're going to come up. And are you willing to talk about it? And are you willing to be open to the fact that we are going to have differences?
Are you willing?
We have different experiences.
And able, because if you're not, then yes,
then this isn't
absolutely.
It for me.
I couldn't agree more. It's just like, as I said, like with just that inherent racism that exists within the gay community, it's tough because you float the lines of, are you being fetishized?
Yeah.
Is this person are interested in me because they're because of my personality, or because they just want to be with, another notch on their belt, and these are questions that you kind of have to ask yourself. And there's nothing worse than being hurt or betrayed by someone that you trusted.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes me a long time to, get to that trust portion of people, because I'm like, I don't know.
Aquarius things.
Aquarius things. Is there anything you want to add to that, Lenah?
Aquarius.
I have a question, and I'm so sorry. I don't know. Y'all answer quickly. Do you deal with it differently? Like, how do you deal with it differently when you are in an interracial relationship and somebody says something problematic? How do you deal with it differently when they are a white person and when they are not a white person?
Oh, okay. So,
and like, do you have different standards of expectations?
You might have just answered the question.
Oh, my bad.
No, for me, you might have just answered it and just saying that it's like, well, it kind of goes back to my point of like, if you have the privilege, dear God, please use it. Like, just use it for the greater good. Like, if we are amongst, like, let's just say I'm with a white person and we're amongst all of their white friends, please, if somebody says something a little bit left, say something. That's all I ask,
So if you're with a like, let's say you're dating like a brown guy, and one of his friends says something problematic, do you deal with it the same way as you would if it was a white guy? Or
I think I'd be just as upset. I do.
Yeah.
I do. What about you, Victor? Is Victor still there?
Okay.
I feel like I have
contemplating.
I'm still here. Yeah.
On which end? Like,
there's
where are your standards
I do
higher?
hold a different
or like expectations?
standard.
Where are they more? Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I feel like if I was dating someone who is of a different race but isn't white, again, it goes back to the thing of like, it's almost like you have this mutual understanding that we're both not white. So it's almost like I hold you to a standard where you should know. And again, a lot of it's based on assumption, and maybe that's not the best way
I feel that.
to approach it. but but I definitely feel like I would hold
the
someone
opposite.
to a higher standard of fate.
I'm
seeing someone
the
who
actual
wasn't white.
complete opposite, where it's like for me to be with someone
Are
who
you
is
the
white,
opposite?
you need to be perfect. Like that's it. You have to be perfect. Like you slip up one time and you can't explain it away enough for me to not feel a way about it anymore. You're done. That's it. Like we're not doing this. But like I've been with black guys that have been like I've been with black guys that are like, I don't think all white people are racist. You're just being too much. And it's like I stayed. I stayed because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change your mind. And you know what? I did. I've been with besides the point, but I've been with an Asian guy that had said some problematic stuff that I was like, I don't do I? I do. And again, I stayed. And I was like, okay, well, it's okay. Like I guess that's what it I'm like, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. But because I feel like when I'm with a white person, it's like they're kind of at a level where I feel like I don't have any context for you to relate, for me to relate the situation to, for you to get it. While with a person of color, I'm like, I can explain why this is messed up to you because you have experienced other types of oppression, other types of racism. And I can kind of compare it to that. So I feel like there's like hope. While when it's like a white person, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know if there's, and again, me and my my prejudice.
And again, generalization, yes.
Very
yes,
general.
yes.
Yeah, very, very general.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I'm a little bit more lenient with people of color.
You know? Let's just hope that we covered as much ground as we possibly could have on that topic, because Lord knows there's just facets of it that we didn't. I had so many more different angles I was thinking of taking this, but y'all, we did it. We covered a lot of ground. Went longer than I expected, but Victor, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you.
We are so, oh my gosh, we are so thankful. Like you have, your perspective was amazing, and just kind of hear like again, like your perspective of being in
I'm so
interracial relationships, and then pre this and everything, and it's just like thank you for coming with your honesty and your rawness, and that's what
and
we
being
want.
open
And being
unlike
open.
Your friend here who tried to play us. Okay, he tried to play us. Came straight up, okay. Straight up, you were like, "This is what it is." Okay, open book right here. You got questions, I got answers.
No tea, no shade.
You did better than I did. That's for sure.
Listen,
that's for sure.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Yes, we are. Victor, do you have any last remarks before we leave you?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you for having me on. It has been such a pleasure, and like I know I'm not speaking for just myself when I say this,
thank you.
but just like listening to this podcast every week
has been
Victor. Such a highlight.
That means a lot.
That really does mean a lot.
But I'm not soft.
I
so
love what
you
both are doing. So.
But it does mean a lot, though.
It does. It means the world. You're the best, Victor. I know you're gonna be back, right? Tell me you want to come back.
That pause.
Yes, for sure. I know that's something. I was really nervous for this.
Thank you so much for being a part of this.
I was very
Victor,
nervous.
You're amazing.
But anytime.
All that being said, we're gonna take a break. Shout out to you, Victor, for being a part of this, as I keep saying, because I just can't even get it off my lips. But let's take a break, and then we're going to come back with our pop culture segment. Bye, y'all.
Pop culture, period.
Pop culture, period.
There you go. Bye.
And we are back.
And queer and black.
Listen, what a great conversation with Victor.
Yeah, no, that was
Oh
great.
my God.
He's so sweet. I love
So
him.
sweet. Yeah, such a great guy. But
Mhm.
we are coming back with our pop culture period. Forgetting.
Okay, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Say it again.
Okay, from the top. We're coming back with our pop culture period.
Period.
Period. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
We tried.
And this is where we're coming at. This is where we come at y'all with some pop culture segments from the past week. So I'm going to set up a story. I'm going to give you some background. We get 5 minutes to dissect said story, and the rest is kind of history. So should we get started?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so let me just get my...
You're gonna get your newscaster voice.
Not even newscaster this time. You know where this is going.
Okay.
Hold up.
Okay.
Island gal, Adele. No, I gotta get through this. I gotta get without laughing.
Okay.
Island gal Adele. She caused them
Why are you African?
from the top. I buy my African from the top. I gotta get British/Jamaican here. Island gal Adele caused them problems when she posted a photo. She posted a photo saying, "Hello from the other side." She done said, "No bother. Me will find somebody who come in just like you."
I can't stand you.
She set fire upon the rain. Fire upon the rain.
I hate you so much.
If y'all have not seen
Oh Lord.
Adele, who we know and love, she posted a photo in a Jamaican flag bathing top, these hoop earrings, and above all else, Bantu knots in her hair. On Instagram. It's funny because when I was reading about this story, because I saw it on Twitter first, and I didn't realize I thought it was like a leaked photo. Now she posted it. I didn't realize she posted it.
That was on purpose that we saw that. She wanted us to see her
1,000%.
just, about to bruck it down.
Exactly. The caption reads, "Happy what would be Notting Hill Carnival, my beloved London." Pew, 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 pew. So if you didn't catch that in that wonderful accent, it was "Happy what would be Notting Hill Carnival, my beloved London." Now, what is Notting Hill Carnival, you ask? Well, let me tell you.
Yes.
Notting Hill Carnival is a carnival held in London that celebrates Black and Caribbean culture. Basically, they do all that with parades and music and food and all that. But with that being said, when I heard about this Notting Hill Carnival, I was like, isn't that a movie from the 90s with... Because I was like, I don't remember Julia Roberts, because I remember this what is it? Romantic comedy with Julia Roberts called Notting Hill. And I was like, okay, I don't remember them
Sounds
being
familiar.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I do not recall them being in any form of Caribbean mix.
Like, was that set in Jamaica? Right? I don't think so.
Ooh. So once the photo dropped, though, and if you have not seen it yet, I'm sure you have, but please, y'all,
Google it, please.
Google it. Step on Adele's Instagram. Just take a quick look. Again, like it's a sight to see. But once that photo dropped, Adele came under fire for cultural appropriation, and so many people going so far as to say that she's canceled. So the question is, was this cultural appropriation? Is Adele really canceled? I don't even think we're going to need 5 minutes on this, but let's just do it. Our time starts now.
You go first.
No, like,
Okay.
this is not a big deal.
Okay.
You know, I'm just like, listen, like, to me, I got so much life out of the jokes.
That's what I was here
dying.
for. Listen.
Oh my
I was
God.
cackling, okay? Like
all of that. She's going to name her album 33.
Yeah.
Like the internet just, and like Black Twitter specifically was on fire.
So funny.
And anybody that wants to turn this into a conversation about her being canceled, I'm like, you don't get the joke then. Like, no one's upset. Okay, let me say this too. If somebody of Jamaican descent were to come to me and be like, that was offensive, I'll be like, okay, yep, got it. I would receive it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I doubt it also. I also doubt that
you?
they would ever.
Yeah. I doubt they would. But I'm saying if they were to come.
If they were like, yeah, that's offensive.
Exactly. I would be like, yeah, that was okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I got you. Because it's kind of like they shouldn't have to explain why it is.
Yeah.
Do you know
and
what
that's
I mean?
why I would just leave it alone.
I'll leave it and be like, you're right. Done. End of story. But this wasn't that, you know, it wasn't a big deal. What do you think? No, it was not.
I also don't think it was a big deal. I thought it was funny, and even when I saw it, I was like, "Who is?" Oh, like I was. I literally was like, "Are those Bantu nuts?"
They sure are.
And why are they Bantu nuts?
They sure are.
On Miss Adele's head. Why?
Oh, they sure are.
Why did she do this?
My biggest
thing.
Oh my.
My biggest thing was like, why did this happen?
Why did this happen?
But like, at the same time,
I'm not mad because we needed this light.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. If she's out here, you know, like, I don't know. I don't think like for Carnival stuff like that. Me personally, and like it's hard, I guess, because I'm not Caribbean, but I don't really see it as cultural appropriation when somebody dresses the part for an event. Right? Like if I go to like Carefest here in Calgary and I see a bunch of like I went to Carefest. I was in Carefest. I was in the parade on last year. I am not Caribbean, but I was dressed up in the full, like all the feathers and the hat and the like all the little like all of the things.
Right.
I was dancing down the street because, you know, like I was part of it. And there was people of all races part of it, and I didn't feel like that was
any sort of appropriation. It's a celebration.
Because I'm like, this is a celebration. This is we're out here celebrating this culture. It's not just, and again, like something like that, I feel like it's not just for us, because other people too can appreciate our culture and see our culture and be like, you know, and I say our as in like Black people, whatever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I don't see it that way. I don't see it as cultural appropriation when people will dress up that way for the event. If people are dressing up that way, like for Halloween, that's different.
Yeah, the same can be said for like East Indian weddings, right?
Exactly.
When you dress up in traditional attire, it's like people are like, is that a cultural appropriation? Is it not? It's like, no, like you are there to celebrate.
Because if I had an African wedding,
hey,
you best believe all my white friends, I'd be like, listen, I'm gonna make you this dress, okay? Can you just tan a little bit?
Okay.
Because the colors need to pop, you know? We want the colors to pop. So if you just tan just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Everybody in head wraps. Please,
yeah, that's it. That's it. So yeah, this entire situation, I don't know. I think for the most part, it was lighthearted fun. And
I
just
thought it was funny.
Adele's not canceled. Like, come on.
No, she's not.
Like, she's like, this wasn't all that. Like, it wasn't that deep. It wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't even know people
were trying to cancel her, honestly.
You know who I read a very, like, I read one thread that was like somebody coming to her defense because people, again, were making fun of her in a lighthearted way, in my opinion. But somebody came to defense like, oh, it's so ridiculous to cancel Adele. I'm like, okay, like, no one's canceling her though. Like we're just
Yeah.
making fun of her because
Yeah,
this is so
exactly.
ridiculous.
Those are two very different things, okay? We'll still listen to her
Like,
music.
she has
But
got
we
two
are going
knots
to make
in, for
fun of her.
God's sake. Well, how can we not address
Listen,
that?
First
Like,
of all, I'm like, how are they even staying in with
her
that
hair
hair
is not meant to-
texture?
oh, here we go.
Oh.
I know. But to that point, how are they staying in with that texture? Exactly. It's
And there
just
must be bobby pins all up in there.
everywhere.
Like, just...
Mm.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and I'm like, how?
Again, if you have not
Oh,
seen this
Lord.
photo, please Google it or hop on her Instagram and take
It
a look.
really is something. It really is.
Yeah.
And the hoop earrings.
Ooh,
Okay. You go, Adele.
You send it. It's fire to the rain.
Mm-hmm. Wagwan from the other side. From the other side. Oh, I can't. I can't
Rolling.
even.
Rolling in the deep. Okay, moving on, moving on.
Yeah, okay.
Whew, let me, before we get carried away here, but this one is not that much of a pop culture one, but reading this article. So a writer for Vogue magazine wrote about how summertime sadness is a thing and how this summer specifically is about coming to terms with the lost season. So the writer writes, this summer has had a different flavor. It's drier for sure, but it's spicier in a bad way. This year feels like a kamikaze, nose diving toward oblivion. The predicted grade of 2020 was downmarked by an invisible algorithm, and summer has failed the test. Obviously, in wake of COVID-19 and everybody having to socially distance, stay in the house and whatnot. So the question is, was summer 2020 that bad? Do we consider it a lost season by any stretch of the imagination? And our time starts now.
Yes.
Go on.
I don't feel like someone asked me today actually, like, how was your summer? And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What summer? What do you mean? Because I didn't like, and it's not even that I didn't do anything, but it's like, yeah, I didn't do anything.
It was just different.
And I didn't feel like I had the freedom to do things. And then also work, because of the situation, work has been extra stressful and extra like nerve-wracking and extra fucked up. Mm-hmm. And then again, like the whole tone of the year is just kind of like not great. I did feel like the description that you gave was a little bit dramatic.
Oh, like, girl, I will send you the article after. Like it is, you should like when you read it in full, you're gonna be like, okay, and no shade to the writer. I'm not here to like criticize writing and stuff, but it is so dramatic.
I could tell. I'm like, girl, who hurt you? You good?
It is so
because
dramatic.
Counseling is around.
Yeah,
because that's like, listen, everybody is
available.
A little bit sad and depressed.
Yeah,
and like, that's it. Just be like that. That's you know, and it sucks. But I kind of. I don't know. I'm like this at this point. I'm like, this year there's not. No, let me not say because I don't want to jinx anything. But yeah, the whole year has kind of been shit. So why would the summer be better? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way I looked at it.
Yeah, and I totally hear that, and I actually fully support that. Like I'm not here to romanticize by any stretch of the imagination, like, you know, COVID or how it's affected people and relationships and situations and whatnot. For me personally, like, I feel like it gave me an opportunity to slow down a bit, and I know
lucky you.
Yeah, like, you know, and I'm not saying that's for everybody, but it's, for me, it's been like, it's an experience to pay attention to your happiness, you know? And I got to kind of hone in on the things that made me happy, and instead of kind of running around and, you know, up, down, this, left, right, like, for me, like, even like when, you know, we came to visit you, I was like, it was so nice just to sit and be with each other instead of running to the next thing and the next thing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's true. I did think about that actually, how I was like, I actually, like, that was fun to just be in the house
That's
and not be like,
it.
okay, what time? Like, we have to get
Like,
there by this time. And like, who's calling an Uber? And like, you know,
So
like,
that's what I'm saying. And again,
Yeah.
I feel like in what you're saying, like, and I know so much of, you know, your situation with like work and stuff. So I know that's unique, and that's just like that. It's been hella frustrating and hella like,
I was on vacation at that time, so that's why I was even able to enjoy that.
But when I
was
think
still
about
getting
like,
texts from work.
yeah,
but yeah, like
but it's been a cool opportunity to just be like, oh, like you get to like really sit around with
and,
people
like,
you
actually,
love in your sweatpants and
yeah.
drink wine and just talk and
Mhm.
unpack and be with one another. And
Mhm.
I've just been like appreciating that side of it because
Yeah.
like I don't know. I just like, again, like it's an experience to pay attention to your happiness because
Yeah.
and we've talked about this again, plenty like time and time again, but it's like when you hone in on what makes you happy, you just
Mhm.
kind of want to keep doing that thing. And I'm just like, ooh, this is cool because I'm not rushing to the next thing. Before I was just so used to one thing. I was just so used to,
so that was all we
that's
did.
all I
like,
exactly.
yeah.
That's all I really knew.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, this is what's feeding my soul, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's what I'm very grateful for. And when I see you in a few days, we're going to recreate that magic.
Oh, did I confirm that? Did I confirm? Because, you know, it's like, it's just, I don't got gas in my car.
So what up the road. No, but yeah, that's honestly what I can say about the summer as a whole. It's just like, for me, like, again, like I've just been able to just kind of hone in on those specific things. And because it's been quieter, I've been able to take note of what makes me happy and what doesn't make me happy. And
Yeah.
and been able to focus on, why don't I do more of what makes me happy?
Mhm.
You know? And that's it's such a romanticized way of looking at it, but
I definitely appreciated not being invited places every weekend.
hey. What a way to cut it.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
You know? Yeah, that's just it. It's just kind of like, okay, you just get to do you and be with the ones you love. And as I said, drink wine, have good talk, and it's the best. But with that being said, why don't we take one last break and we're going to come back with Speak on That.
All right.
All right. And we are back.
And queer and black.
And it's time for Speak on That.
Hey.
I just read the text message you sent me, and that's why I was trying not to laugh as I was saying that.
Listen, get used to it, okay? My whole vocabulary changed up. My whole vocabulary about to switch up, bruv. Man's not gonna know what hit him.
Oh, Adele, I love you.
Get out.
Oh, Lord. All right. Okay, let's get into Zen here. It is time for Speak on That. And as nice of a time as we're having, we are certainly going to end it on a bit of a somber note. We decided this week to share our Speak on That and to combine our Speaks on That.
Speak on that.
Speak on that. Thank you. Even that sounds like Adele.
Yes. Leave her alone.
I can't. It's too easy. It's too easy.
It really is.
It's too easy.
She did it to herself.
She did it to herself. Ay. Okay. Back into Zen. Let me get back into Zen here. So last Friday, we learned about the sad passing of Chadwick Boseman. So he passed away this past Friday in his home in Los Angeles with his family by his side at the young age of 43, after a long fought battle with colon cancer. So he was diagnosed with his cancer 4 years ago in 2016. And honestly, if you do the math, then you know that he'd been battling this in arguably the commercial height of his career.
Yeah.
While filming and doing press for Black Panther. I don't even know what else to say. It's just like, it's so sad.
It really
It's so
is.
sad. Like, it's just like, the news was such a shock and such a blow
Yeah.
to so many people.
Just even tell anyone.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying.
None of the people that he was working with were like, yeah, we knew.
Even
Like, all of them,
Ryan
we had no idea.
Coogler, the director, didn't
Yeah.
even know. No
Which
idea.
is wild. Like,
But I feel like there's something to be said about, like, the fact that that information didn't leak is such a testament to those that he keeps around him.
Yeah, yo,
You
I never even
know?
thought about that, but that's true.
Like, I think that's really powerful because it's not like TMZ did not get a hold of this information. TMZ did not report.
That's like Beyonce level.
Right? And I
Like,
think that's really powerful to know that the people that you hold around you will love and protect you all the way
Yeah.
through. And I love
Yeah.
that his family got to break the news on their own terms, not TMZ or not
Yeah.
Us Weekly or whoever it may be.
Exactly.
I think that's
Yeah.
really powerful. And to me, it speaks, I
the way
love
it
the guy
should
to
be.
begin with, but it speaks so much more to him as a person while he
Yeah.
was here, because he obviously was respected enough for people to keep that information, not keep that information, but to protect that information for his sake. And again, when you think about what the body goes through when, you know, you're battling a cancer of that magnitude, and he's out here filming superhero movies for little Black kids to feel
Yeah.
inspired.
And like doing like just touring to like promote and like all of that.
Worldwide, mind you. Hopping on
Yeah.
plane, different time zones, different,
Can you imagine?
press day in, day out, 12, 14, 16-hour days of press. And still filming other content at the time.
Yeah, while your body is fighting this disease. Like,
it just speaks
so
to,
sad.
it speaks to, like, it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. But it speaks to, you know, how resilient and how I hate saying the word strong when it comes to Black bodies, but you know what I'm saying though? Like,
yeah.
Like, we shouldn't have to be.
I feel like
strong.
Like
all the time.
we shouldn't. I feel like, because part of me was like, why? Like, why would he keep that quiet? Like, why would he not say anything? But then just seeing like some of the quotes and like things that he has said like in the last several years, and like one of the things that stood out was he said something like, when I, like, at the end of his life, he wants to, like, you know, meet God knowing that he has like given all of his talents, like he has laid it all out on the floor. And I'm like, I feel like that's probably part of the reason why he didn't tell anyone, because if you tell someone that, first of all, they are going to treat you different. They're going to lower their expectations of you, which then almost gives you permission to, like, you know, not do your
so right.
all kind
You're
of,
so
you know,
right.
so like it is like the way that people perceived him and the way that people treated him would have changed completely. And then that would have kind of like, I feel like that would have done something to the way that he even carried himself.
You're so right. You just nailed it right there. That is so.
But that's still
true.
like so like
it's
I
still,
just
to go through that alone on set.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Again, maybe he had his own kind of mini entourage that kind of knew. But nonetheless, to like, again, you don't even know. Like, we all are connected spiritually, but we don't always understand what's happening to each other's bodies physically all the time. Not even all the time, ever. because
Yeah.
that's such a unique experience, is what's happening to each and every individual body. And so to know that he was out here giving his all, it's just it's so
For
on
us.
time for
Like,
you
you know what I
know
mean?
you
Like,
know
literally, he's like, I will perform my ass off
and
every
it,
time there's a camera in front of me. And it's,
Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Black Panther. It's just like, and with all that being said, on top of the year that Black people have had, I think this is important to note. This is on top of the year that Black people have had, like being disproportionately affected by COVID-19, the senselessness, police brutality, the Black Lives Matter uprising. This felt like such a blow. Like it just felt like it just felt
it was like we were kicked when we were down already.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. And it's like I remember I retweeted, or not retweeted, I put this on my Instagram, something along the lines of like, it's sad to keep losing your heroes while your adversaries continue to thrive.
Yeah.
Because it's so
I
frustrating, It's just
it
like,
really is.
oh,
and it's
man,
like, what? Like, it kind of, I hate to say this, but it's like a special type of like, it's like a sense of defeat that you get. Even if just for a second, it's like, you're like, what is the point then? Like, if we're just going to keep getting hit with thing after thing after, like, what is the point? What are we even doing? Why bother? Like, what? Like, it kind of, like, for me anyways, it like brought up a lot of that, and it like truly fucked me up, because I'm like, so all of the shit people in the world, and this is the one,
and this
is the one that had to suffer like this, that suffered like this silently. Like, there's so many trash people, and like Chadwick Boseman seemed like a genuinely nice, kind, loving, caring person. And I'm like, why? Like, why? I'm still struggling with it, but I'm like,
it's hard.
It is.
Because it's
like,
to lose a hero and a beacon of hope and resilience.
Exactly.
In wake of everything, on top of everything Black people have been dealing with. And you posted something along the lines of like, your Black friends are exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, and this was just like as you just said,
exhausted. I don't even know there's not even a word to describe the level of exhaustion, because it's
tough. Like,
it really is.
I don't know. It's like, I'm thankful for the legacy he leaves behind.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Again, for so many young Black kids growing up, they get to see something that even you and I didn't growing up, like, it's just like, it's incredible. And I'm so, God, he's just going to go down as one of the greatest. And
absolutely,
he had so much more to give, but he gave us all. There was a writer for BuzzFeed News. He wrote a really excellent article which highlights his work and his contributions to the culture, our culture, popular culture. And I have a little excerpt that I wanted to share, but he wrote that we have lost a wellspring of Black joy in a year that has already contained so much Black grief feels like a punch on the way down. And that's what you were saying earlier about, like, it's like, it feels like you're being kicked when you're down, because we have been dealing, as I said, with Black people with so much stuff. And this just kind of felt like, the one in a decade. Let's think about the decade that Black people have had. All we know on TV screens is Black death. Yeah. And as Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, he transferred our screens to be a place of healing. Like, we got to see Black triumph. We got to see Black joy. We got to see Black excellence. And I'm not saying that's the only way we got it, but to take that and to make it onto the global scale, again, when we were dealing with senseless deaths of so many young Black men and women, to know that the one thing that made people look at us and be like, oh, maybe they're not that bad, was taken away from us, felt like a blow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It felt like a blow.
And it's like, I feel like it's, again, like, he gave so much to the culture. Like that is something that, like, you can't even deny that. Like, he gave so much to the culture. Like,
You
that
can't
just
deny that.
like, and honestly, Black Panther alone is like one thing, but then like literally every other thing that he's been in
Oh my
also,
gosh.
it's like
Oh my
there's so
gosh.
much. And I feel like, I don't know, it's so, I do feel like he gave all that he had to give. And like, I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like I guess like the human in me is like, I feel like there was more that he, like, I was sitting here. He was one of the people that I was like anticipating the next thing that he would do. Like, you know, when you're like, oh, this person is like on the come up, and you're just like, you're watching them to like see what happens next, what they do next, what they act in next, or what they, you know what I mean? Like,
because he mastered his craft.
Yeah.
Like, he was just good at what he did. He was like, it's like he took his God-given talent, played it all the way out, and there was still more to give. You know, so it's just, it sucks because it's like, oh man.
And it's
I don't
like,
know.
why, like, I've been thinking a lot about like why that why this like type of stuff messes people up so much. Because like, I literally, like, I cried myself to sleep. I was crying, like, today I teared up because I thought about him, and I was like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm still not, like, I still haven't come to terms with it. And I feel like it's like, of course, like, we did not know him personally.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm sure that the people that knew him personally are suffering a whole different level of pain. But from our perspective, it's like, because I remember seeing a post where someone was saying how it's like humans can not be not selfish, because it's like, in a time like this, we're like, Black Panther, but like he had a whole family that is like my brother, my like cousin, my son, my whatever, like, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, from our perspective, like, when you watch movies and when you watch TV shows and when you're invested in these characters, to some extent, it's like that character becomes like, I don't want to say like a part of your life, but an influential thing in your life, right?
Well, because
like,
it's important to see yourself reflected.
Exactly. So it's like, I was just thinking about like the first, like, when I saw Black Panther the first time, and like just that joy that I felt. And then it's like I still have that memory. Like, that memory hasn't like changed or anything, but it's just having that memory and knowing that a piece of that is gone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just because it's like the memory is still there. The memory is still there and intact, but it's like there's just a piece of, there's a piece that like, it's almost like this can never and will never happen this way again, because this piece of the puzzle that made you so happy is now gone. And it's like, I went into that movie being like, this is one, like, I'm like, in Marvel movies, because I love Marvel movies, but like, also I was like, okay, like, it is like Black centric, it is like African centric, it is Black people in their natural state, like, you know what I mean? Like, just like
unapologetically.
Exactly. It's like almost, it's almost like an idea of like what we could have been. I don't want to say could have, because what we can still be, had the like white supremacy not been involved, you know? And it was like, I don't know, I feel like it just kind of gave some type of like hope. And I was like, kids, what? Like, I was so I'm like, kids get to grow up with this. Like, imagine, my nephews and they get to grow up with this. So they get to grow up with Black Panther and like knowing how badass he, like, they get that. And I'm like, I never got that. And I was excited for them to have that. And so it's like having a part of that taken away is like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I just feel like
I know.
it definitely, I don't know. It messed me up. Is pretty much what I'm saying.
I think
It really messed me up. The whole
one of my
situation.
takeaways was, do you remember? It would have been like maybe a year, maybe even a year ago, year and a half ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
These photos of him on the internet were floating around, and
Mm-hmm.
he was thinner.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
thinking that he was like, I was like, he's getting real skinny, and I was like, maybe I
yeah,
assumed that it was for a role or something like that.
yeah, as many people did. But then
Yeah.
again, as the internet jokes and plays and this and that,
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of made fun of him, you know. And
Yeah.
for me, it kind of made me take a hard look at, like, you never know somebody else's struggle. You
Yeah.
never know what somebody else is going through. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, for like, him looking that thin was not a choice. Like, it was hell.
Yeah.
And people were out here making fun of him because he's supposed to be, like Black Panther. He's supposed to be
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
guy, always strong, always this, always that. And it's like, to have that pressure on you all the time and to still
Mm.
like, it's just, yeah,
Yeah. I feel
It,
like that almost like, because I saw that a lot, and I saw people saying that a lot, but I feel like when that was kind of happening, in that situation, like I remember there was a video that he posted talking about something that I can't remember, but it was like important about like humanity and whatever. And like in that video, like he looked very, very skinny, his cheeks were sunken in, and like people were saying shit there, and then he like took down the video. And
yeah, I
yeah,
remember
and
that. And he like blocked, on his older posts, he blocked comments and stuff.
oh
Because
yeah.
people were saying some terrible things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a lot to deal with, but like it also kind of shows you how like Black men are just not given the benefit of the doubt. Like people were like, "Oh, is he on crack? Is he doing this? Is he doing like what the hell? Why you look like that? Like what are you doing?" And like people were kind of like assuming the worst, and like I felt bad because I'm like, I literally looked at that, and the first thing I thought was, I'm like, he's playing a skinny dude in a movie. Like that's because I'm like, dude's an actor, so that it just made sense for that to be it.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't think like, oh, he must be sick or he must be like doing drugs or whatever. Like I feel like a lot of people kind of were making jokes about that, and I just like, it's just like stuff like that is just so like distasteful for me,
I'm with you.
because it's like you don't even like, even if he was on drugs, that is still not something to joke about.
And it's none of your business.
If like, exactly, it's none of your business. It's not something to joke about when he like, because again, for you to go from the weight that he was like during Black Panther to the weight that he was in some of those like more recent videos, it's like something, for that to happen unintentionally, you know that there's something serious going on, right? So I just don't like it. It really, I kind of like got a bad taste in my mouth for humanity again.
I know.
Again, because I'm like, why is that the thing that we jump to? Why?
Yeah,
And
I
like,
know.
it's just, I don't know. And then but the thing that made me personally feel bad is that I remember like Black Twitter joking about how we're like, this nigga tired of doing the Wakanda forever.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there'd be videos where it's
that's
like,
right.
you know, we're like in
He's
the
like,
beginning of the tour,
okay.
it's like he's doing it with a big smile on his face, and like, you know, his arms across his chest and everything, and like just full of energy. And then after a while, it's just like straight face and just his arms doing the thing.
And
we're like, he's tired. Like if somebody says Wakanda forever to him one more time, like this, like he is tired, and like only to find out that like he was just physically tired, but still very, very much grateful for that whole
and present.
Yeah,
to do, as I said, these press runs and these carpets and these junkets. Like he did all that.
Yeah,
he did all that even under these conditions that he had. Like it's just I gotta salute and just be thankful that we were privy to this, you know, and alive at the same time that he gave this art.
Yeah,
I'm grateful. I truly am, because
me
it's like,
too.
yeah. Whew,
I
all
was
right.
like, I was in a position to see that
Yeah.
when it came out. Like, I didn't wait. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, I didn't have to wait till it came on video. I had to wait till it like popped up on
Mm-mm.
Netflix. Like, I saw
Mm-mm.
that when I was like, listen, it's happening. We're buying tickets.
Yeah.
Get on your dashikis. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. May
yeah,
he rest, though. Rest in power, Chadwick, because
absolutely. Yeah,
you know, your legacy will precede you. That's just what's up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like
Yeah.
he made a mark, and that mark's not going nowhere.
That's just it. That's just it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, I did just want to quickly address something. I know we're not supposed to go back on our 5-minute situation, but on that little break, I thought about the summer thing, and something that I would, and this is going to kind of be in line with Chadwick, but the summer that we've had, summer 2020, has been unique for many reasons. And as I was preaching about like channeling my happiness and making note, and taking audit of what makes me happy and whatnot, we also can't forget that had we not been in the position of a pandemic, we would not have the uprising of people paying attention to Black lives.
Yeah, that is true.
And there is something to be said about that. And that I hate that it does piss me off that it took a lost life, or many lost lives, for people to understand. That being said, it created this podcast. It created an opportunity for us to lend a voice to a community that we are passionate about. I will say this time and time again. I don't know if I'd be standing on the 2 feet that I am standing in firmly on the ground if it were not for you. You have been a beacon and a pillar of support and hope and everything else in between. Yes, we're gonna do feelings for a second right now, but
always, you always do this.
And I mean this in every facet of the way, interpersonal wise. Like, I know, like, you've just been there for me in the big stuff with Black Lives Matter, and the big stuff in my personal life. You've just been there, and you're like, even when we were this past weekend with the Chadwick stuff, and just kind of connecting on that, and just being like, to know that there's another human being that gets this on that level mattered to me. Like, it's just like, I'm so thankful. This would not be what it is without you, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm just so...
Don't make me cry.
I'm so thankful for your existence.
Like,
I'm just like...
from talking about Chadwick Boseman to that. Like, I don't...
I
Like,
mean it. I mean it. I mean it.
already
You are...
did my whole skincare routine. And then just...
And I wanted to leave it at that, and just say, like, this summer, that this is a part of that. It's just like, it's opened my eyes to, as tragic as it's been.
Yeah.
We get to now, now we have a microphone to lend a voice to what's happening in the world. And I'm forever grateful to do it with you. Forever grateful to just walk through this life with you. Because listen, listen, I wouldn't want to do it any other way.
Listen, I'm going to say just like real quick. I honestly, like, this whole situation that I have been in for like the last, I don't know, month or two. Because, like, I've been stressed, okay? And, like, honestly, I don't know if I would still be here if it was not for you. Like, I'm, like, no joke. Because, listen, like, shit's been rough. And it's like this, even just this podcast, like, it gives me something to look forward to in the middle of the week. And that's, yeah. So I appreciate you, and I
I
love
appreciate you. I love you. We are always gonna have each other, and that's all.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. But
But I'm a gangster though, so
yes,
like,
no feelings. With that being
you know.
said, find us on social media, you guys. We are Speak on That Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Do not forget to rate, review, subscribe. Do all that stuff because
all the things,
because
all the
that's
things.
truly all the things, as Adele said. That's truly how people find the show and engage in the conversation. And forever grateful for everybody that continues to do that and is kind of riding with us as we go along. Any last minute things for you?
I want to shout out TaylorMade Studios, who we are in partnership with.
Yes.
So
exciting.
Like, follow, subscribe, or whatever.
TaylorMade Studios. That is as it sounds.
Everything's spelled the way that it is.
Made Studios.
Yeah.
One word, all on Instagram. Right.
Taylor the name, not the profession.
Thank you for that.
A little play on words.
Super excited. Yes, we have another channel to just kind of to amplify
connect
our
with
voices.
people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm so thankful.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, with that being said, I love you deep.
I love you wide.
And we'll be back next week, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.